Hello students, so today we are going to do argumentative composition. Now we have done narrative, descriptive and narrative in the previous videos. Now we are going to do argumentative. Now this is also quite a familiar topic, but normally students don't attempt this because it's quite tricky. But actually if you know the guidelines, then uh, it will become very easy. So what is argumentative composition basically? It is nothing where you put forward your ideas and opinions on a controversial topic or a subject that you get, right? You kind of argue and you arrive at a conclusion through reasoning. So whatever topic or the subject you get, it is written with a purpose, and you take a position on an issue and you give several reasons to support the argument so that the reader agrees with that position, right? So it's kind of, you're giving ideas and opinions and you're arguing and you're actually taking a stand, and you make the reader agree with that stand by giving evidences and examples. So what are the guidelines? First is, whenever you see a topic, you make you clear with it, and you take a decision that I'm going to stand for the topic or against the topic. Second is, after you are clear with your position, you give proper evidence, right? Without evidence and examples, nobody will believe your argument. So you give proper evidence and examples. And third is, even if it's argumentative and even if it's you are taking one position, you have to give both the views, for as well as against the topic. That's very important element of argumentative composition. Now you have to maintain this in argumentative composition, this 5 paragraphs, right? And write it systematically. That is, introduction, first introduction, then body you divide it into 3 paragraphs, where the 2 bodies will have supporting argument and the third body will have the opposing argument. Then you will be clear and it will make the things very easy. So first you begin with introduction, then give first body paragraph will be of supporting the argument, second body paragraph will be again supporting the argument, and third body paragraph will where you will talk about opposing the argument, and end it with conclusion. So this is how the paragraph should look like. Now let's take example. Right now, I've already told you that before, when you get an essay, that you need to plan, right? You cannot start your essay immediately when you see it and go on writing. You have to do a lot of planning. So this planning, this web chart and everything, I have discussed how you have to do it in narrative and descriptive. So here also you do it in the same way. So the moment you get a question, you think about the title, very attractive title, and from the title you try to make sure and tell the reader that whether you're for or against the topic. So for example, if you get a question like whether dams are destructive or not, so you give a title like this, very simple title, The Dangers of Dams. So I'm giving a clear idea to the reader that whether I'm for or against the topic, right? So you give a title. Then when you are coming to the introduction part, remember 3 things. So write it down. 3 things you must remember. That is, some general information. You begin with general information in the introduction. Then give your views and end it with thesis statement. Now I've discussed this statement thing in narrative also. So here in thesis statement is basically, it's a conclusion of the introduction, right? The last part of the introduction. And this thesis statement, you will add 3 main ideas which will actually help you to build up the argument in the body paragraph, right? You will understand this when I will tell you the example. So remember, introduction, you should begin introduction by giving some general information about the topic, presenting your views. Your views should be there in the introduction immediately. Don't present your views in the body paragraph, in the introduction. Then thesis statement will have 3 main ideas which will lead to the argument in the body paragraph. For example, let's take this example, the dangers of dams. So some general information. What do I mean by this? Like this: around the world there are hundreds of dams of different sizes, Dams are used for irrigation, flood defenses, water supply, and hydroelectric plants. So I'm giving general information about dams. This is my general information. Now I'm coming to my views. Despite these positive elements, however, there are also many bad elements related to the dams. There is my view. And what is thesis statement? Dams have a negative impact because they eat up three main ideas: valuable land resources, ruin wildlife habitats, and affects endangered species. So this is my thesis statement. That is the last portion, the last part, the last statement of the introduction. I am going to end my introduction. That is what thesis statement is. That is my last part of the introduction, and you end it, your introduction here immediately, where you are giving three main ideas, and now the argument will begin. So again, in the body paragraph, you begin with the sentence, give examples in the paragraph. Don't give any examples in introduction. Give examples to support your argument in the body paragraph, and always whatever you are writing, link it with the thesis statement, because there you have said that why it is dangerous. Always your thesis statement, that is the last part of the introduction, must be the reason of argument, and you must link it. The body paragraph must be linked with the thesis statement. Now conclusion is very important again in argumentative composition, where you are going to restate your opinion, right? Recommend some future action and begin with some linkers. This is very important. Restate, recommend future action, and linkers. For example, in conclusion, so I'm starting with linkers. Society is learning of the dangers that come with hydroelectric dams, as alternative solar and wind power are both green energy sources that have no foreseeable dangers. It is hopeful that these sources can come into use in the future to replace the need for dams. So you're recommending future action. Remember, conclusion must restate your opinion, recommend future action, and begin with the linkers. Clear? Now what are the things you need to avoid? You present your opinions, don't give facts. Don't introduce any new argument in conclusion. Don't confuse the reader, and avoid presenting a prejudice to you. You should always give some cool statement. Don't be very harsh, and don't be very much rude in your argument. Don't bring any politics, nothing. You must be very cool, and you must not use some harsh language or harsh arguments to convince the reader. So that's how you follow the introduction. In body paragraph, you give a lot of examples to support, and always you link it with your thesis statement. Thesis statement, that the last portion of the introduction, where you are actually beginning your argument, right? So this is how you do your argumentative composition. So study well. Thank you.